All right.
Hello,
Yeah.
everyone. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Toastmasters meeting. Today is going to be a table topics meeting, and I would like to recognize the new faces that we have today. Mrs. Joanne, how are you today? Good. And then Tangela, did I get that right?
That's correct, Tangela. Angela with the T.
Awesome. Nice to see you. And then Mrs. Linda, were you here last time? Maybe. I think she was. Well, nice to see everyone. Nice to see all the new faces and old faces. Well, can I get someone to read our mission statement, which is at the bottom left corner of the agenda?
I can do that, Noah.
Thank you.
We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth.
Thank you, Sourin. Okay, now I'm going to pass it off to Slate, our president.
Thank you, Noah. So as Noah already said, today will be a table topics meeting, and our table topics master of the day, Tricia, will definitely go into detail on how that works and the length of time and how she'll be handling that section of our meeting today. So there will be no prepared speeches. So we increased the length of our table topic section. We'll still have an evaluator section led by Tori as GE, General Evaluator, and we'll still have our reports read. And the leading will be led by Toastmaster Sourin today. And I just want to quick reminder sort of about what's going on. We are holding weekly Monday meetings every Monday, and they're held from 4:30 to 6. With that, we try to open it up at 4, and today was a good example. We try to get the meeting open, so if we run any technical difficulties, we can get that situated. But I think we did a good job handling that. We didn't start too late, only about 10 minutes. And yeah, we're about halfway through. We started our online meetings for the summer back in May, so we're about to finish June, and we'll probably end our online meetings the first or second week of August before school starts back up. And I think that's pretty much all I have for the beginning of the meeting. I hope everyone has a fun time. I really like the table talk section myself. And with that, I'll hand it to our Toastmaster of the day, Sourin.
Hello, everybody. So today we have an interesting meeting in that we are going to be focusing solely on table topics instead of worrying about the speech section. So the word of the day is energize, and it's to give it vitality, enthusiasm, to supply energy. And so we can go straight forward into table topics made by Tricia Perez. So take it away, Tricia.
Here, make sure we call reporters first, Sourin.
Oh yeah. And our reporters are the Grammarian, Noah, and the all counter is Courtney, and the timer is Justin. So each of them can explain their roles. You can go ahead, Noah, and explain your role as Grammarian.
All right. As Grammarian, can you guys see me? Perfect. Grammarian, I will just keep track of all of the grammar and make sure everyone is speaking accordingly.
And then all counter, Courtney, could you explain your role?
Yeah, so I'm going to be the all counter today. So I'm going to be taking note of any crutches or fillers that people use while speaking. Also take note of any overuses of words or repeats of words. And at the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times everyone used those expressions.
Okay, and Justin, you can explain your role as the timer.
Yep, so my role is I'm keeping time, surprise. And so keep an eye on the chat. I'll be sending messages for example, table topics. You'll get a 1 minute, which means the minimum. We try to get everyone table topics to 1 minute. And then you'll get a 1:30, which is the halfway point. And then you'll get a 2 minutes, which is a time. And then I think for table talks, you have like 30 seconds. So anyway, I'm just keeping track of all the time. And then I'll put your final time in the window as well. So keep an eye on the chat so you know where you're at. And first message you'll see when anyone's speaking will be the minimum.
Okay, thank you, Justin. And so at this time, we can call in Tricia Perez for the table topics.
Thank you, Sourin.
And I should probably stop sharing.
Stop sharing. Mm-hmm. So definitely, as Slate and Sourin have mentioned, it is a unique meeting today, given that everything is fully table topics. And when I first found out, I was a little bit nervous and trepidated, only that it had been a while since I had been to the Table Topics Master. And of course, the week that I volunteer, it's the week I prepare extra questions. But either way, I'm energized to be here with all of you. I'm really excited for these questions. A slightly different format, perhaps you need, I would definitely say you have a lot of creative license with these questions. As Justin, our timer, mentioned, you do have a 1 to 2 minute time limit. We encourage you to reach that minimum 1 minute time. But after that, it's up to you whether you'd like to continue with your answer or just stop where you are. But I'll go ahead and introduce the theme, which is open mic. So the style of these questions, I got inspiration from the area competition with the other Athens clubs with the table topic style question that they used. I'll go ahead and show the first one so we can, so for example, there was given just the beginning part of a sentence. So in this case, it is when are ... question mark. And it's up to you to fill in the blanks of the question. So you can pull inspiration from your own life, from other people's lives, from a story plot you might have read or seen about in a book, movie, TV show. It can be a rhetorical question. It can be a logical question that you come up with. But the whole point is that it's up to you. You have that creative license and creative freedom. One thing I do want to add is that the prompts that I've selected for today's table topic section was inspired by the Google list of what are the top questions asked about in Google, specifically in the year 2019, 2020. So these first 10 are the very, very top 10. And so as an additional inspiration, if you want to try guessing what that top question was, you can use that as a way to fill in your 1 minute and answer the question, or just take inspiration, like I said, from your own life or whatever. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started with the first question, which is when are ... question mark. And if you'd like to volunteer, feel free to unmute yourself. If no one volunteers, I will call on someone. All right.
I can do this one.
All right, go ahead, Slate. Thank you.
So when are they gonna make putting pineapple on pizza illegal? I think that's at least in the top 20 searched Google on this question. Of the questions searched in Google. And frankly, it's probably never, because of course that's an absurd thing. But as I think a lot of us in here would hope it'd be soon. Because it just doesn't belong. It doesn't sit right. Cheese and pineapple, they don't work together whatsoever. The only things that go on a pizza should be the main ingredients: cheese, the sauce, the bread, of course, the dough, and your meats. Then some acceptable things would be mushroom, some other things. In general, though, something so sweet as pineapple just doesn't belong. You already have your cheese to go with it, to give it that small sense of sweetness. But really, I think that should be a top priority. I don't know why people aren't talking about that more in terms of why that's not, quite frankly, illegal. And I think that's a top search question on Google because that's something so absurd that would be searched, but yet people have a very strong opinion about, such as I do. And I think that's the first thing that came to my head. Thank you.
Thank you, Slave, for that. Yeah, definitely the pizza debate. I feel like I've been hearing that since middle school, and yet it continues till today. But for those curious, the question, the number one question was, when are the NBA playoffs? And so since the numbers were taken over a year's period, there's 5 million average monthly searches. You can guess that it was seasonal when baseball season came around, but yeah, it's definitely interesting. All right, the next prompt. What is my ... question mark? You could talk about favorite things, dislikes.
Can I take this one, Tricia?
Go ahead, Sourin.
So I can guess like what question it is, right? If I'm correct.
You can use that as your inspiration, or you can fill it in with any scenario you'd like.
All right. So I guess I'll try and guess what it is. I think it's what is my future? Because everyone really wants to know what they're going to be doing in the future, right? Some of us really want to know what we're going to do next year. Some of us want to know what we're going to do in 5 years, 10 years. We're all very like skeptical and like almost uneasy about what the future brings to us. Some people are optimistic, some people are pessimistic, some people are realistic. But all of us want to know what's ahead in our lives. And I think it really boils down to how we make our goals and how we try to achieve those goals. So, for example, right now I'm in college. I'm entering my second year of college. So what do I see in my future? So I see myself graduating within hopefully another 2 years. I can see myself maybe going to grad school, maybe settling down. So I think all of these things and my own ideas of what the future are really help me achieve my future. So if I say I want to become, I don't know, if I want to start a business, for example, I can plan ahead and be like, this is going to be my future. And if I'm dead set on what I want, I can make that my future. So I don't think we should really wonder about what our future is, and we should worry about the present and make our future happen. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sourin. That's a very philosophical and realistic way of looking at it, but thank you for your response. The top Google search for what is my IP address? Which is very interesting why this is the second most search. I'm not exactly sure. I feel like that'd be like not a common scenario, but you know, who knows, maybe this is a time where people are just getting new computers or something. So next, our third prompt, where is my ... question mark? Or you can also take it as where are my, in terms of the plural form, ...
I can take this one.
All right, go ahead, Justin. And I can go ahead and time you. Or if you think you could.
Can you hear me? My internet's a little shaky.
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right, so I have a very important question for the group. Where is my car? Like, I don't understand what happened to it. So I went and I bought a car, right? And I had it shipped to my house. I went to Amazon.com and purchased a Ford F-150, kind of like trucks. I'd like to have one of those. And the truck got here, right? And I was so excited. I got the keys and everything. I'm ready to go. I'm like, this is my car. This is my chance. This is my moment. And then the cops came to my house. And because I guess my neighbors called them or something. And they said, look, man, you can't have a car. And they took my car away. And they didn't tell me where they took it. I have no idea. at all what happened. All I know is that I spent a lot of money on this car, like all of my savings, and it was stripped from me. And I feel discriminated against. I feel like my rights have been violated. I have searched all over the city. I walked around, and every time I found an F-150, I would try opening it just in case it stuck in a car. This did get me arrested one time. They thought I was trying to break in, and I told them that I wasn't. I was just looking for my truck, but they didn't believe me. But it's fine. It's fine. No big deal. But anyway, so I am planning to start a change.org petition called "Where's My Car?" And if you'd like to sign it, please send me a message, and we will get on this train and fight for the rights of all people who wish to have a car, no matter what their personal circumstances. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Justin. Very interesting situation. I don't know what I would have done in that situation, partly because I don't have a car myself. I'm still saving up for it, but regardless, wow, I hope it continues to take off and you're able to get your car back. That's, I don't know, unfortunate to say the least. But the Google search that is associated with "Where's My" is, there you go. "Where's my refund?" which is very timely with everything. Considering that all of these searches are gathered worldwide, and this is, I think I've only really heard, when I looked up this question, a lot of it more so came from US resources. So I guess the number of people populating Google with this question was very, very high in demand, which is understandable. But we'll now go ahead and move on to our next question, or our next prompt. What is ... question mark? What is? Or alternatively, it can be what are ... in the plural form. How about any volunteers? All right.
I can try.
All right, go ahead, Courtney.
Dang it. So I guess I'll do what is the best diet, I guess. I've been experimenting with some new diets recently. My current attempt at being healthy is veganism. It's very strict and very difficult, but what I really like about it is that I think about everything I put in my mouth is something that I never did before, and I see it was very problematic with the way I ate before. And so even if it doesn't stick, I think that I will learn a lot from this experience. But yeah, one thing that I've been really amazed about is all of the different vegan options that there are now. I mean, there's everything. There's vegan meat alternatives, and there are all types of flavorings and just delicious recipes that you can make. So I'm really enjoying it. I do recommend to try it at some point in your life, or to just take a mental note of everything that you eat every day and make sure that you're getting your fruits and getting your veggies, and trying all the different, food options there are. But yeah, it's definitely been a really eye-opening experience, and I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. And yeah, if anybody wants to talk about that, veganism is cool. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Courtney. I will say I haven't tried going full on vegan, but I have tried some vegan options, like the alternative burger meat. I think they sell them at Costco. I tried it once. I'll just say I wasn't a big fan, but I can understand the appeal of it, because the aspect of it was trying to reduce the meat production globally. But I am a big fan of tofu, and there was a period of time where I did use that as my main source of protein. So I might have to take some recipe inspiration ideas from you, Courtney. But the Google question associated with what is What is love? With an average monthly search count of 1,830,000. I said that number, 1,830,000. I didn't quite look into whether this was a seasonal search where it was all bunched up in the month of February or if it was the entire year, but that's a lot of questions on what is love. So now we'll move on to our 5th prompt. How to, ? Question mark. How to. There's a lot of things that you can do, but what would you ask on how to ... Question mark. And also as a reminder, there is a word of the day available to use, energize. All right,
I can take this one again.
Okay, go ahead, Slade.
Okay, so how to. This might not be the top result, but I think one definitely be up there is how to tie a tie. This probably isn't in the top search result because in general, only one gender tends to wear ties, men, with their suits or blazers or shirts, whatever they're wearing their tie with. But I think this is something that everyone goes through. I think even if you do have some sort of figure in your life, if it's a brother, a father, anyone in your life to show you how to tie a tie, you're still probably going to go back and search it. Or if it's your first time and you're searching on the internet, how to tie a tie will definitely pop up, and it's very useful. You're going to use it in your life, even if you don't plan to go into a type of business or career where you wear one once a day or once a week. You're probably going to wear a tie when you go to special occasions, such as maybe a wedding, a funeral, or just parties. So it's a very important skill to have because unfortunately it's not very professional or just doesn't look good to wear a clip-on all the time. It's really meant for little kids, and it's really not that hard. And it really leads to something to show you how back in the day, I say that back in the day, that doesn't make anyone feel old, but you couldn't look that stuff up just maybe 40 years ago on the internet. I'm sure there were books and everything. You could look it up that way, but I can just pull on my phone, look up a YouTube video, look up an article, how to tie a tie, how to fix my car, and it'll come up instantly. So I think this table talk section in general, and this question really shows how much the world has changed with how easily information is able to be gathered. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Slade. And yeah, I just like to echo definitely how internet has changed a lot of the ways that we do things. But the top response, there you go, how to draw 1,500,000 average monthly searches. Although when I was searching up for questions, how to tie a tie was in, I believe, in the top 10 of the how to prompts. So you're on the ball with that. All right, next prompt. Where am or where is ... question mark.
Okay, I'll guess this one.
All right, go ahead, Tori.
I'll attempt. Okay, I would think that people would search for where is the best place to travel. I don't know if right now that would be the highest search, but overall, I think that I would put that in there because I would want to see the best, I guess, like the warmest place, the coldest place. Maybe you wanted to go to a beach or to the mountains. I guess it kind of just depends, but if you're deciding between the two, then if you say where's the best place to travel, maybe it'll tell you that the best place is Hawaii, or maybe Google tells you based on your location. If say you're in Florida and it's hot there, and then you say where's the best place to travel on Google, maybe they'll give you, all the way in California because they want you to go try something new. But I think that if I was to search up where the best place to travel was, it would probably be somewhere in Europe, would be my guess. But yeah, I would just say it would probably be where is the best place to travel.
Thank you for that, Tori. Yeah, definitely the location features of trying to find where you are with Google is helpful. Sometimes a little bit, I don't know, it's scary depending on how you are with data privacy and all that. But it's definitely a feature today that we have that you couldn't have in the past. The Google search associated with where is or where am is where am I? So you're very spot on with the location question. With 1,220,000 average monthly searches. So yeah, definitely Google's location feature is very on the top with its searches. And you might have read my mind there because there may or may not be a question or response related to Europe. So we'll just keep moving along. Our next prompt is how many ... question mark. And you can either guess what the top Google search is with this prompt or pull inspiration from your own life or other scenarios that you've seen.
Does anybody else want to go for this one?
I can go.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay,
Right,
sure.
go ahead, Noah.
So I think this one, the top search would be like, how many days till something? I think that's the top search because I just looked up how many days to August myself because I'm ready to start school. And on my friend's Instagram page, like a week ago, she had how many days till school start as well. And so I think just the feeling of being anxious to, I don't know, start, you know, get out of quarantine or start school in quarantine, just the feeling of something to be different. So like how many days till Christmas, how many days till Thanksgiving? I always like maybe when we get within like a 30-month range or 30-day range or a 40-day range, I would always start looking up how many days to this or how many days to that. But I always try to like space before I look up. So I will look it up like maybe 1 week and then I'll wait like maybe a week and a half and then I'll look it up again because I'm anxious for something to start. And before you know it, we'll be there and I'll be excited. So yeah, it's definitely how many days to something. What that something is, I don't know. I think it depends on the time of year. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Noah. Looking to the future, I like it. One thing, I just realized this also when you mentioned that you searched up recently how many days in Google. Even though we are in a virtual setting, please be fully present and do not Google these prompts yourself to find the answer. I'd love to see how creative everyone gets with these prompts. But the top Google search with how many is how many weeks in a year. So definitely related to length of time. With 823 average monthly searches. For this question, I was a little bit unsure how this question, because the number of weeks in a year doesn't change, and that's a lot of average monthly searches. If you like multiply that times 12, it gets into the millions of searches, but it's one of the top searches, at least for the 2019-2018 year. Our next prompt, when is or when are the early ... question mark. Repeat that one more time. When is, or the plural form, when are the early ... Up to you. We also do still have the word of the day, energize. Let's see. Tangela, if you're with us, would you like to give this a try? All right, maybe she's not. Oh, there you go.
Well, I would say when is early voting for the national election would be the top search Google question. Since this is an election year and this election is so very important for Americans, I would think that would be the top researched or question on the internet right now, is my thoughts.
Thank you, Tangela. All right, let's see. I'm sorry, technical difficulties. The Google response associated with when is or when are the early is when are the early signs of pregnancy, with just a bit over 500,000 or half a million average monthly searches. Although when I was searching up the prompts for this, when is voting or when is voting day of happening, it was one of the top Google searches, so very on the money.
Yay. Glad to hear that. I would hope so.
All right, we'll move on to our next prompt. Is ... question mark is. You can, for your response, you can either try to guess the top Google response or pull a situation or a rhetorical question or a logical question and answer that question yourself. Just some ideas.
I can go for it.
All right, go ahead, Justin.
So I think the question is it time? You can put a lot of things after it. Now, of course, there's a lot of ways this is relatable to me. For example, someone might ask a timekeeper, is it time? Which I answer yes or no. There's also a different situation. Let's say that I'm in a classroom, something like that, and the professor's just talking and talking and talking, and my stomach's growling. It's Monday. I just had a day deprived of Chick-fil-A, and I'm thinking, oh, is it time for lunch? I just need to eat. Is it time for lunch? Is it time for dinner? Actually, most of the day I'm asking, is it time for insert meal here, insert snack here? I am hungry all the time. Another thing, thinking about, again, sitting in a classroom and the professor's just talking and talking. He's, and then there's that person. He's like, okay, does anyone have any more questions? And then someone raises their hand and asks, and I'm like, oh, is it time to go? And I look, and it is time to go. And he still let them ask a question. And I'm ready to be done. I don't care about the geography. I don't care if Tanzania is next to Guatemala. I'm not even on the same continent. I'm not that stupid. But still, I don't care. They care, I guess. But is it time to go? I've been sitting in a chair for 75 minutes. That's a long time. Also, the other question, is it time for bed? How often am I tired? I just want to sleep. As soon as I wake up, I'm asking, is it time for bed? I haven't even left bed yet. Of course it's time for bed. So is it time for me to get out of bed is the question when I'm getting up in the morning. But then as soon as I'm out, is it time to get back in bed? Lots of is it time, is it time? So with that, I will use up my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Justin. Yes, there are very valid questions that I think at one point or another have come across all our minds. Particularly with those Tuesday, Thursday classes, definitely the 75 minutes sometimes, it takes a toll on you after a while, so just to speak to say the least. But the top Google response with is Mercury in retrograde? Interesting question. I actually did Google, this is one of the top responses, but I also Googled this question. And it has, I'm no scientific planet expert, but something to do when Mercury hits a certain point in its orbit and messes up the timing of everything with our technology. And especially in a time of our society where we're always on the go, a slight change in the time could mess a lot of schedules and plans up. But yeah, definitely a lot of time-related questions you could do with is. For this next question, who called ... question mark? Who called ... question mark? You can use a story in your life where a questionable who called, or you can guess the top Google response. And we do have the word of the day, energize. All right, if there are no volunteers, perhaps Linda, if you'd like to give this question a try.
I would have to say it would be something on the order of who called this problem in, who reported the burst water main, who reported the burglary, who called the police, who called the radio station with this question, who called about whatever situation. Because just like Justin was talking about with time, there's so many things that could go on with a who called question. As far as what might be the absolute question that gets asked on the internet, it would probably have to be something about who called the famous celebrity, who called into the radio talk show. Because we wouldn't necessarily say who called the police on a particular thing. I don't think we would do that. On another note, in talking about some of the other things that have already happened, with the what is or what are question, I would have said, what is canned bacon? I had never heard of canned bacon until yesterday when I was listening to an audiobook. But there really is something called canned bacon. Survivalists will tend to have that in their larder. And apparently canned bacon is just like regular bacon. It's already cooked. It comes either in the crispy or the not as crispy variety. And you just heat it up like you would normal bacon. And apparently it has a shelf life of 10 years. Interesting fact. Back to you, Toastmaster Tricia.
Thank you, Linda. Wow, I have not heard of canned bacon either until you just mentioned it now. I have heard of Spam, corned beef. Now that typically comes in a can. And those are really big favorites among Filipinos, I would say, or at least within my family. I'll speak from my personal experience. But definitely with who called, it's an interesting question to Google. So we'll go ahead and see the top search response to it. Who called me? With 450,000 average monthly searches. This is definitely an interesting one. Typically I would ask Siri. So perhaps these are from people who have Android devices and there's a feature on there. If anyone here has an Android and would like to update us, if that's even a real feature, let us know at the end of the meeting. But who called me was the top research or top response to that prompt. So I'll move on now to our next prompt. Before I move on though, so the previous questions the previous prompts rather that were asked, they were the top 10 prompts searched into Google within the last year. On these following ones, I just went through the list and picked some interesting ones that I thought were really cool or funny or slightly bizarre to ask. So you definitely have a lot of creative license with these. The next prompt, can dogs ... question mark. Can dogs ... question mark.
I can take this one, Tricia.
Go ahead, Sourin.
So can dogs. So I think this is like from my childhood. I remember this movie. It was called Can Dogs Go to Heaven? I don't know why I'm thinking of it right now, but I just remembered it yesterday. So when I saw the phrase "Can dogs," that was like my first question: Can dogs go to heaven? And it's like a very pondered question. Like I'm taking philosophy this summer, so it's like making me think all philosophically about things. So like, do dogs have souls? Can they like go to heaven, like all this stuff? But it's like beyond the point. That's what I think would be the most commonly asked question, because a lot of people love their dogs. They're like family members. I think we all want our dogs to like have a better life and like to go to a better place, and we really want to have our dogs do better, like play around in like the field up there and like with all the chewy toys and all that stuff. So I think we really want our dogs to like have that good experience. So I really wouldn't be surprised if that is the question asked by the majority of the people when they're trying to see what is the future for their canine buddies, you know? But yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that response, Sourin. Yeah, personally, I don't have a dog myself, but I can definitely see see that as the top response. Keep mixing up the words research and response. I apologize for that. But the top Google responses are actually related to food. So can dogs eat bananas? Can dogs eat apples? Can dogs eat blueberries? I think what's even more interesting with these responses, they were only in the can category. These weren't even in the can dogs and then autofill afterwards. So for these three to be in the top 100 or top 10 can prompts, definitely shows that a lot of people definitely are curious and care about their dogs. We'll move on to our next prompt. Who invented ... question mark. There's a lot of things invented within the last 100 years, 200 years, millennia. But what is the top response, or what would be something that you would ask on who invented? And I think almost everyone has gone. Joan, if you'd like to give this prompt a try.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I'm not sure what Google would have said, but I would say, who invented the air fryer? Who sat down one day and said, I'm tired of frying the traditional way, or there has to be a better way to do this that is healthier, that tastes better, that is not as greasy if I fried it in the traditional way in oil. So I would say, who invented the air fryer? That might be one of the top questions. But may I also tag onto the question, can dogs? I wondered, can dogs see in color? Dogs see us, they have a good time with us. I have a Labrador, and he's mixed with something, I'm just not sure. But can Cody see me in color? Can he see the bright colors that I'm wearing, or can he see that hot pink ball that I'm tossing to him? That's what I'd like to know. Can dogs see in color? Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Joan. Yeah, definitely the air fryer. My family has one, and I've definitely used it in a lot of different situations with foods that perhaps weren't supposed to be warmed in the air fryer, but it's definitely a handy kitchen tool to warm any leftovers or burritos or whatever, anything that comes in frozen, and kind of just experiment with that. So thank you for that response. The associated Google response to who invented was, who invented the internet? Which is very apt to question, since we're now living in a time where we have internet access and this technology to communicate with each other virtually. And so that's the Google response for that. We can move on to the next prompt. Here's the Europe one. Is Europe ... question? You can think of it as any questions you might have about Europe, or...
I can do it for sure.
All right, go ahead, Sourin.
So mine's, when I say is Europe, I'm going to be honest, I feel a lot of people have searched up, is Europe a country? Like, I don't know, maybe it's just like me thinking that a lot of people are dumb, but like, hear me out. Like, I've had a lot of people be surprised when I talk about like visiting Europe once. They're like, oh yeah, I've been to the capital of Europe. And I get always confused. Like, I always think to myself, Europe is a continent. It's not a country. So like, I think this is a legitimate question some people actually search up. I don't know what their belief in Europe being like a full country is. Like, what would even be the capital of Europe actually? Like London or Paris? But like beyond that, I just think it's like kind of a question that a lot of Americans especially might be asking, because sometimes we don't like try to look outside and like gauge other countries. So I think a lot of us, like when we're traveling and trying to learn new things, is Europe a country would probably be up there. Because I'm not saying most people are dumb, but there's a large segment of our population that probably doesn't know too much and probably does think it's a country. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that response, Sourin. I won't provide any commentary because that is the Google search response that came up. Is Europe a country? I definitely found this one a little bit funny. I know there's that YouTube song where someone says like, England is my city, and that's like a similar mistake of mixing your countries, cities, your capitals, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, never know out there. So we just move on to our next prompt. Does the ... question mark. And I think everyone here has gone more than, or at least once. So if you'd like to go ahead and volunteer, or I can call on someone, that works too. Tori, would you like to give this prompt a try?
I can try. I'm trying to think of what does the...
Could be maybe a question about the world, or...
I was going towards, I was like, how about, does the moon have another moon? We'll go with that. Sure, why not? So I guess where I'm going to take that one is there's a lot of different places in the universe, and our universe is so big. How do we know that that there's not another universe that the moon has another moon? If you guys have ever seen The 100, that Netflix series, I kind of binge watched that a little bit yesterday. And it was kind of about how these kids, they go down to Earth and they have to survive in space. And if they don't, when they go back down to Earth, if they don't survive on Earth, then everybody else in space dies. So going off of that, they could have maybe gone to the moon instead and seen if there's anything up there, or maybe gone to a different side of space where there's more life. And yeah, I guess maybe in another universe, does the moon have another moon? So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that, Tori. Definitely space is an unknown frontier, you know, like that that Frozen song, Into the Unknowns. Like, you know, if you go into space, there's a lot of unknowns there. And, you know, who knows? There perhaps a moon does have another moon. The questions associated with does the dog die? Does the moon rotate? So there is a moon question. I'm not exactly sure what that first one, does the dog die, because it's the. So I don't know if there's like a specific dog that everyone's following, because it's a very specific article to use in front of a noun. But either way, those are some of the top responses to the prompt, does the. I will go ahead and continue with a couple more. Our next, oh wow, okay, I can't hide that. You can try using the image as a guessing tool if you'd like. But the prompt is, why should ... question mark. You can pull from your own experiences as when you might ask this prompt in a question, or you can try.
This one. No one else wants to.
Go ahead, Slate.
So based on the image, I'm pretty sure the answer to the Google search is, why should I hire you? And I'm not going to go into that. I'm thinking bigger picture. I'm thinking, why should I eat this huge burrito at this Mexican restaurant I love to go to? That's the more important question. The answer is going to be, I'm going to eat it, of course, because very little control if I've already walked in the restaurant. But that's a question you need to ask yourself. Just how we're mentioning, diets, going vegetarian, going vegan. I think that's something a lot of people in America need to consider. Just like Courtney was saying, watch what you're putting in your mouth. And like I said, I might not necessarily change that. When I go to a restaurant, especially when I go out to eat, I usually will eat big. So maybe for myself, I could say, why should I eat this? Maybe I could delegate more. I could eat, the more unhealthy options at restaurants where it's sort of better prepared and tastier food, and reserve the healthier side for at home possibly. But I think that's really the questions I would search, why should I eat this? Or, what should I be eating that would be best for me, type of thing. Because that picture could also be just two guys, they're having lunch. That's also how I can see it. But yes, that's my why should. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Slate. I think I already revealed it when I accidentally clicked the PowerPoint. But yes, the top response was, why should we hire you? And definitely an interview question that I've come up across. Maybe not that exact question, but at least a variation. But I definitely liked your take on the two people eating together. That's also a question. Sometimes I've asked myself, or more so, I've asked my brother, why should, or more so, why shouldn't he eat as much food as he does? Because as an athlete, he literally swallows so much food into his system that I even wonder sometimes, how are we related? But thank you for that response, Slate. Our next prompt, when was ... question mark. You can pull from your own experience, when was the last time you asked yourself when was, or you can try guessing the Google response. And also we do still have our word of the day, energize. Perhaps Tangela, if you'd like to give this prompt a try. Are you still on the call, Tangela? No. All right. Anyone else would like to volunteer and try this?
You said when was something?
Correct.
Let's see. I was thinking something school related, like when was my, I don't know, last test. Let's say, when was my last workout? Let's go with that one. So, when was my last workout? Surprisingly, it was actually yesterday, but before yesterday, I haven't worked out in about 3 weeks. And I usually work out twice to 4 times a week. And so it was a lot different for me because, I just haven't been to the gym. Times are not agreeing with my schedule, but also, I've been working out at home, but I can't really work the same most I work in the gym. I mean, unless you get creative, which I've been looking up. But yeah, I think, last time I worked out is my top question. And it's crazy how things can change just because of a massive disease. But yeah, that's my take. Thank you.
Very, very cool response and personable response. So thank you for that, Noah. The Google response was, when was the last full moon? Which there must be a lot of people wondering about the moon. I'm curious myself too, but maybe if you look across the sky tonight, maybe today is a full moon kind of day. But when was the last time worked out? Don't ask me that question. Our next prompt, who is ... question mark, who is? You can pull from your own experience or also think of a Google response people might ask. Let's see. Courtney, would you like to give this prompt a try?
Yeah, I'll give it a try. The only thing I was thinking about is who is a certain politician or who is, running for a certain position, I guess is what someone would look up right now. Is the only thing I could think of in terms of who people would be Googling. But yeah, so I guess in terms of just like wanting to know who all is running, it's really important to be informed about politicians and who are the important figures and the important people that are in government and are making the important decisions that do make a difference in our society. Yeah, I definitely need to do that more personally. I usually will look up, who's running for president and like who are the main people. But the last time I looked at a ballot, I was kind of like, there's just so many names on there, and I was just like, okay, I definitely don't know, all of these people and how they contribute, and it's definitely something that I wanna work on this year. So yeah, that's all I got. Thanks, guys.
Awesome, thank you for that, Courtney. Yeah, for myself too, searching up, especially for the local officials who are on the ballot, it's definitely something I need to do. But thank you for that response, Courtney. The Google response associated with who is who is the richest person in the world? Which, if I'm not mistaken from memory, I think it's Jeff Bezos right now, right? I see a couple nod of heads, so it seems to be right. So definitely an interesting question to ask Google. I think looking at the time, we have time for 2 more before we'll go on to our next section. With our next prompt being how long to ... question mark, or alternatively, you can try the prompt how long until ... question. So another time-related question. You can think of experiences in your life where you might have asked yourself, let's see. Joan, if you'd like to give this prompt a try.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. The thing that comes to mind for me is how long until football season starts? Now, I'm not a diehard fan of football, but I know some people who start counting down starting in March until football season starts in August. So I would say, how long until football season? And then the next question would be, well, who is Georgia playing for the first game? Is it a home game or is it an away game? So I think that how long until football season is a valid question at this part of the year. We're almost we're a day away from July, and I think that the games start in August. I think that would be a valid question. How long until football season? Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you for that, Joan. And definitely a question I've asked myself. I wasn't the biggest football fan until entering college, but since my freshman year, I was definitely hooked, and even had a conversation with some friends who are in Florida, and they're like, oh, I'm not sure if football season will happen this year. One thing I'm certain of is that the Gators will win the national championship the following year. Oh my goodness. And I just had to, keep quiet and just let the game and our players show them who is the best football team in college. The associated response is how long to boil eggs, which every person has their own method. I've seen people try and steam their eggs, which technically isn't boiling, but sometimes the egg turns out hard boiled anyway. So definitely cooking related question. We'll move on to our last prompt. Where is ... question? Where is? And also as a final reminder, there is still the word of the day if you'd like to incorporate it, energize.
Good.
I think a lot of times when you first meet someone, the question is, where is home? We always want to figure out where people come from, where they were born. So I think where is home is a good question. It may not have been the top Google question, but I think it is a question that is very popular, especially when you're meeting someone for the first time and you want to break the ice, or you just want to get to know a person better. So you would always ask, where is home, or where are you from? Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you for that response, Tangela. And I liked your take on the question of what would you ask if this prompt was asked in person? And definitely asking where people are from is a very, very common way to go ahead and break the ice and get to know that other person a little bit more. I still have a couple questions, but I see we're coming up on time a little bit. So that's it for table topic section.